Hey, it's the Scotch Test Dummies. We're coming here with the George T. Stagg BTAC 2016.
Bottled at a whopping 72.05% alcohol.
That sounds illegal, and we're versing it against the 2015 BTAC.
Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. Let's test it.
Test it! First of all, that was a mouthful. We got a lot of BTACs. We got acronyms going on. George T. Stagg.
We had a few takes before we got it.
We did.
Down.
Yeah, tongue twisted. We got George T. Stagg versus George T. Stagg. And why did this come about, Bruno?
Okay, well, we just did the live stream last weekend.
Yeah.
With Reverend Christopher Toma.
I'll call him Toma.
And we sent samples of the 2016 Buffalo Trace Antique Collection George T. Stagg.
Woo, mouthful. And I mean that both ways.
Cutting to the chase, I was disappointed by it.
Reverend
Toma didn't think it was all that good.
I thought it was like a punch in the mouth.
So
it got my attention at that ABV.
Now, last year's edition of the 2015 George T. Stagg was bottled at 69.1%. It was much better. And
when we did at the end of the year, all right, we always do a wrap-up. And under our 2015 America's Whiskeys, you listed this as your number one.
It was in my top five. I'm pretty sure it was the number one. I'd have to go check.
We'd have to look. Somebody's looking right now going, that's number two.
Right. It was up there.
So I thought for sure you were going to just love all over this.
Be head over heels for it.
And then while we're doing the live show, you mentioned we've got to try these head to head. You're going to send Reverend Toma one of last year's, this one to try.
Yeah. I said that side by blindfolded, I would be able to pick out last year's over this one without a doubt.
So we decided we're going to do a versus of both of these, and this is our 3rd anniversary show.
That's right.
This is the show. We're beginning our 4th year after this. And
October 19th of 2013, this all started.
Right. And appropriately, we are doing an America's, a bourbon, with this one. So we've got our 2 glasses. We're going to be versing these. By the way, we've had a lot of fans binge watching our older episodes. Since we're just now, this is the anniversary of our 3rd year. If you haven't seen the older stuff, some of it's a little rougher. All right, but go back and take a look. We started numbering at 100.
Yes.
Right? So we started numbering our episodes at 100. I did go back and number 1 through 10 just to make it a little easier to find.
Yeah, that take you a long time to do?
Yeah, it was stressful.
He was like, I'm going to go back and start numbering the old ones. So
right,
I said,
just
okay.
10 at a time. 10 at a time.
That was like 2 months ago.
I'm on a 2-month cycle. That's it. Every 2 months or quarterly. So I'm going to give myself the quarterly leeway. I will come in and maybe upgrade them. I don't know. I kind of like some of them not being numbered. But who knows? It's probably better that they are numbered. Now, real quick, wow, they smell. I've got to tell you, I really like the nose that comes off these. Which one? The one on my right is the 2016.
The Scotch Test Dummies glass is the 2015.
Oh my, let's do this.
The non-etched glass is the 2016 edition, the new stuff.
So left, they're lined up right.
I got quite a bit in there.
Now, we've been doing the live shows. How are you feeling about those?
I like them.
Yeah, I dig them too. They're different. They're a real different feel. I think we've got a good energy when we come live, but they run long.
They're going to go long. Most of our reviews here are probably 15. Average is probably 15 minutes up to 20.
Yeah.
Our live streams, and when we first started, we were like, we need to keep these 20 to 30 minutes.
Right. Impossible.
And the first 2 we did were in the 44, 45 minute range, and then the last 2 have been almost an hour long.
I think our goal now is we will not go over an hour. We'll cap it an hour.
We'll have to try.
Yeah, I think we're doing good on that.
They are longer. There's more conversation. We've got guests on there. We had Reverend Christopher Toma. We were talking about his books that he's written. He's an author.
Right. We've had Whiskey Daddy.
This is an abbreviated version of that review just to give you the 2016 George Stagg. And then last year's as well, side by side.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, there's Buffalo Trace puts out 5 editions each year. There's the George T. Stagg.
Right here.
They do a William LaRue Weller. a Thomas H. Handy Sazerac rye,
That'd be.
Eagle Rare 17-year-old,
We like that as well.
and an 18-year-old Sazerac rye.
Oh my!
So now last year, this was the first bottle of the BTAC that we'd ever gotten, and I loved it. The flavor in it was awesome.
Yeah, I was kind of
This one showed up this year without hesitation. I picked it up. We'll go into why I'm disappointed by it. And when we do them side by side, Bart will probably see it as well.
I'm hoping, because I definitely didn't. This was good, but it didn't. You were just ecstatic about this one last year. I was like, it didn't even make my top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, and you made fun of me and stuff that I was like a cheap man's bourbon drinker, which is true. This one, I'm impressed by the high ABV. What do you got on the nose?
Well, and I'll tell you, on the live stream, I said I would probably be able to tell them by the nose, and the nose I can't. The nose is pretty similar. Which after we did the live stream, I went and had a sample of the last year's, and it was only on the palate that I could tell the
Oh, you
difference.
poured me a lot of your.
Yeah, I know.
You want some of that?
No, I got some. They're both pretty heavy.
That's a gift, brother. That's a gift. Because this is once that's gone, that's gone.
So go in neat, right to this year's edition, the 2016 George
You're doing
Stagg.
that one first with the higher ABV?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Huh. I think I'm going to start with the old one. Well, no, that'll put us out of sync.
Woo! The fire, the heat. Wow, taking over in my mouth. Woo! Delicious. Strong wood, cinnamon, and vanilla.
It's getting very, very tiny sip with already a lot of saliva in my mouth. Gross, I know. I do get a strong oakiness. I get some of that furniture, I can't talk, it's on my tongue. I get some of that furniture polish taste. Heavy cinnamon. And it's like a super strong, like atomic fireball cinnamon. I like cinnamon, but Toman referenced this, that he described it, and I hadn't thought of it until he did, so I'm crediting him. He said it was almost like if you scraped like maybe a caramel cinnamon off the bottom of the pan that had been scorched.
Yeah, he said like burnt cinnamon, like someone had scraped burnt cinnamon off of the pan.
And that is a very apt description, because it's not so much a sweet cinnamon as that kind of strong burnt, scorched cinnamon. I would agree on that. Mm-hmm. I don't get any long lingering. I don't get a lot of aftertaste that trails out. It just kind of falls off for me.
Okay, let's try to go to a sip of the 2015 edition. I was going to say, do you want a little?
I want a little bit of a cleaner. You want a sip of this? Here.
Oh, you got another glass?
Mm-mm. We're going to share like brothers. With the BTAC going in, there's no germs that are in this mouth.
That's true. It's going to kill it.
Yeah, the germs are gone.
Fact is, when we shot the last year's edition of the George T. Stagg, we said if you got bit by a zombie, you could pour this on the bite and it would kill the infection.
Right into the wound, gone. Yeah, instead of the amputation.
It's been proven.
Yeah, instead of the amputation, just pour that in there. You know what else? You could suck it back out. Take some of that venom. That's snake bite. All right.
Oh, yeah. Boy, right there. Last year's is so much richer, fuller, toffee, and chocolate. Velvety, smoother. This year's, and they're both a 15-year bourbon. This year's seems like a weakened 12-year. It's cask strength.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to say how it's not watered down, but the flavor profile is weaker.
Okay, it's not as complex. I still struggle with this. I think the flavors for me hide behind that higher ABV here. I get what you're saying. It for whatever reason, it does feel more velvety as a mouthfeel. It still has a quick drop off. There's no real aftertaste, but I did get what I'm either going to call the like a fuller dark fruit with oak. And then I was trying to pick up, I know there's something, it's coffee or chocolate. I'm going to have to take another sip, but I'm with you on there being something there. Now, with me, bourbon in general, I don't get as many flavor transitions as I like. I love when flavor transitions bounce with scotch, and I don't usually get as much with bourbon. But I am with you. There's definitely more things going on in the background with this 2015 than the 2016. You're doing better on that than
last year also they claimed 83% had been lost to evaporation. I haven't seen those numbers on this year's edition. And last year there were around 5,000 bottles for 2015. This year, someone had said the numbers are around a little over 9,000 bottles. So almost twice the number, and it's almost like somehow they weakened the.
Well, people thought that maybe there were folks stealing out of those barrels because they said that's a real high.
Yeah,
that's a real high evaporation, and I remember somebody commenting.
Yeah, there was some theft involved or insider trading going on.
We know nothing of any of that. That was just when someone mentioned that 84% angel share was way too high.
The coffee or the caramel is so much richer, I think, and comes out.
Okay. I get a little of the caramel. Now the other day when we did the live show, I was getting some cherry nibs off of the 2016, and that was kind of, other than that cinnamony-ness, was all I could get. But I got that after I added some water. I'm going to add some water, a lot of water actually, to both of these and see what I can get. And then I'm going to try a little bit quicker sip from one to the other. I'm going to go with a pretty heavy.
It just feels like a cask strength or a barrel strength average bourbon.
Were they both about the same price?
Yes. Both. Well, yeah. Both retail is $90. So last year's was, I paid $90. This year I paid just over that. Even our store's getting in a little bit on the. Of course, they got one bottle of the 5, but not too much more than the $90. Now I said also I would still, next year's comes out, I'll still pick it up probably without hesitation. Now if it's the same profile, I don't know if I'd do it again the next year after that. But and this, well, we'll get into that, but. It's not
okay.
It's not bad.
Aftertaste is a little bit of that cherry nibs flavor that kind of comes in at the end, and I get that. It's actually mirroring the aftertaste that a cherry nibs gives you when you've chewed it up, and there's some lingering flavor of that cherry nibs in your mouth. So it's not the explosion of the cherry or the licorice. It's really the aftertaste of both, which is almost more like the gumminess of those cherry nibs.
Cocoa.
With the first one or the
in the 2015.
And that's all I'm really getting. I'm not even getting much of it's a little bit of an oaky wood, but it's not even that strong. It's not a real strong wood in this first one either.
I'll tell you what's good.
2016.
I can tell you what's good with these is it takes quite a bit of water to bring, or it can. I don't like 72% neat. 50%, maybe 55%, but it takes quite a bit of water to bring that down. You get a pretty good, an ounce of this goes a long ways.
Mm-hmm. Oh, still a lot of cinnamon, a lot of punch.
Still a lot of cinnamon. This year's edition just brings cinnamon, oak, and vanilla. Your standard bourbon notes at a cask strength level.
I have a hard time getting the vanilla. Okay, hold on.
Holding on. Preparing to hold on. Standing by to hold on.
I say it, and then it's kind of lingering in the end now. Once that cinnamon dies down, it's in there. But boy, do I struggle to pull that out. It's
Yeah.
probably what lingers the longest is maybe that vanilla popping in at the end. Now I got her watered down. I bet you I got her at 50% ABV. The sparks kind of moved off. I'm not getting as much as of the cherry nibs now, but I can pick up the vanilla as it transitions out. About 15 seconds out, getting the vanilla, doing the circular mouth breathing, or what you call
Angry chipmunk.
angry chipmunk. That's right. All right. We do have a storm going on outside. A little bit worried about. Wow, you're scoring it that high still.
Well, that's what. It's still good. Now, last year's was a 93 or a 94.
I don't even know what I
It's a
scored last
couple-
year. It doesn't do much for me. I mean, it just doesn't. Then we're talking the 2016. But I'm going to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Not much has changed. I'm going to try this again because I'm still trying to get the verses.
It is strong when you go side by side with them, but when you have, if you had this year's and you cleaned your palate, you gave it some time, and then you went to this one, you definitely pick up those differences that aren't here in this year's edition. It is hard. It's so strong. It really is. It'd be like having, Lefroy cask strength next to Lefroy cask strength
Special edition.
special edition.
We're just making that one up. It's got my nose clearing up. It is strong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Basically, you're right. I get a little bit more of a darker fruit flavor over here. Boy, I don't know if I could still call out chocolate in there. There's something, probably more chocolate I get than coffee. I don't really get a cinnamon forward flavor here other than that first spark. That velvetiness, definitely. The oakiness, yes. And then I get into those darker fruits, and maybe that's a chocolate in there as well. I can see almost like a chocolate cherry cordial. You know how there's a cherry in there and it's wrapped with some of that juice in there. My score, I don't remember what I scored this one last time. It just doesn't do much for me. I mean, it's good. It's got some quality there, but to me, 87. I mean, it's there, but if we moved into, I know it's a versus.
I think you were probably 89 or 90 last year.
Okay.
Because your bourbons weren't getting up that high.
Yeah, I mean,
Now, just think that we did the E.H. Taylor barrel proof. To me, this is right on there. Maybe a notch better than the E.H. Taylor barrel proof.
You know what I think part of my deal is that I lean, with my American whiskeys, rye bourbons, I lean toward liking the sweeter side. I really like them a little bit sweeter. I mentioned before, I'm not as much into the oakiness, no matter what type of whiskey it is. And I think that's why my first impression, and it's spent a lot more time in the barrel, and maybe that's why it doesn't just hit my palate as nicely. It's never really impressed me. I love the higher ABV, and I feel like there's some experiments going on here, but it's just not something I would even go search out. I'm glad you do.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice having you around. So, what else?
All right.
Hey, again,
Well, let's talk about, is it worth it real quick? $90.
All right. Again, I wouldn't go buy this. Is it worth it? Yes, it is at $90. By the ABV alone, you can pour an ounce and add water and sip on this, and this bottle will go long, long, long for you. Or if you want to sip it neat, it's a slow, slow sipper because of the strength. Wow, I just got a little bit more sweetness out of this too than I'm getting out of there. So yeah.
Out of last year's.
Yeah, out of last year, out of 2015. It's definitely worth it. Now, I wouldn't go on secondary market. But if I found this, if I walked in and they're like, hey, Scott's not around, but we got another BTAC in from 2015, we didn't notice it, bam, I'm buying it. I'd buy it right on the spot. It lasts long, I'd have it on the shelf. I'll be honest with you, I'd probably just give it to you.
Now you come around a little bit because yesterday you said it wasn't worth it.
Did I say it wasn't worth it live?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't buy it normally. I just wouldn't. But at that high ABV, if I've come around when we filmed the live show, which by the way we do TV, it was yesterday, even though for you it was a couple weeks ago. In that intervening 2 weeks, I think I listened to you guys talk at that high ABV at $90 when some folks are charging $55, $60 for a 40, 46, 43 ABV. ABV alone and the time it's spent in a cask, I'm going to say it's worth it at that price. I would not go for the markup at all, but I'm not standing in line for this, if that makes sense.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be like salivating standing in line. If I saw it, I walked into like the Dive liquor store that happened to somehow by accident get one and nobody's paying $90 for a single bottle and they're like, hey, you want that? I'd be like, uh-huh. Yeah. So yes. How about you?
Yeah. Yes. It's worth it. It's still good. Now last year's bottle though, enthusiastically, yes, buy. This year's, yeah. The same thing I said in the live stream. Yeah, it's worth it.
You're bringing some quality there because I would listen to you on this. I love the fact that you've already mentioned it hasn't spoiled you yet on the BTAC George T. Stagg. You're going to buy the 2017 if you can get it. Mm-hmm. But if that one doesn't rise to what you believe the 2015 is, you're going to be questioning a 2018 purchase if there is one.
Yeah.
That is telling to me, that's interesting, that's informative, that's worth the cost of tuning in, which is free. So, anything else going on?
Nope.
Subscribe if you haven't. Please, we're getting tons of great comments. Comments coming from binge watchers. Go back and watch how poorly we did in our first 25 episodes and comment on it.
There was a couple I wanted to delete. I was like, we need to.
I said, leave it. Leave the moles, the scars, the bad teeth, whatever it is. On our very first episode, we were at your house and I sat on the other side. Whenever I see it, when someone comments on it, it throws me. I'm like, ugh, what am I doing sitting on the right? Or for you, the left? What? Wow. And then somehow we came up with this seating arrangement and now it's fixed.
Yep.
Although, do you remember the episode where I sat over there, you sat here, and I did a caricature of you and you did one of me?
I think that was the Cavalon Vino Barrique.
Go check the Cavalon Vino Barrique if that's it, because that's hilarious. Yeah, you're mocking me, I'm mocking him. That was fun. That was fun. Anything else you want to say?
No.
I
think that
this.
covers it.
All right. You know what we're going to do?
We're going to
Scotch it, you Scotch gods!
Cilantro.
Dummies.